Welcome to the Edge of Greatness podcast. Hello, and welcome to 5 lessons for you in your 20s of things that I've learned over almost 40 years of life. This is part 4. Part 4 is find what drives you. Find what gives you purpose. Find your why. And not necessarily the deep why that drives everything you do. I want you to find that. I do. I think that's important. But in my 20s, I don't know if I actually understood what that meant. I found some passions. I found some purpose. But I didn't necessarily know my why. That came later. That came with time. But you can find what drives you. And what that means is find the why in the suffering that you're doing now. Okay? So if you're pursuing anything that's big, if you're pursuing anything that feels special, if you're pursuing anything that's hard, there will be suffering. There will be hard times. There will be challenging moments that you will have to overcome. And when I was a college athlete, those were the workout days. Those were the days where we had punishment running. Those were the days that, you got done and they were like, hey, guess what? We have 100 more sprints. And you just felt like, oh, I'm never going to make it. But my why for being there, my why for enduring those things was I get to play. I knew my why. I did this so I could do that. So now that I'm older, now that I'm, have a job, I have a business, I have kids, I have a responsibility to them. I've been getting up at 5 a.m. to write and to do videos like this and to do different things to produce content. So I don't have to in the evening. I want to be able to spend time with my kids. I want to be able to spend time with my wife. I want to spend time watching them grow and hanging out and playing with them. So I choose to suffer by getting up at 5 and putting in work. Those are things that I'm choosing to do because I understand my why is to be able to spend time with my kids. So when you look at the things that you have to go through, when you look at the hard stuff that you're going to have to do, what is the why behind doing those things? Right? If you have to study for an extra hour on an exam because it's the biggest one of your life, that's your why. Right? I'm choosing to suffer by studying because I know I have to succeed on this exam. We all can look deep to find the why. If there is no why, you're not going to endure the suffering. You're not going to endure the hard times. So spend time this week thinking about why you do the things you do. If you work 20 hours every single day and sleep for 3, there's got to be a why. If you're going to put in 80-hour work weeks, there has to be a why. These are the things that matter down the road. If you can understand how to tap into that now, when you're in your 30s and the experience catches up to the excitement that you have in your 20s, you're going to accelerate your success. Not saying you can't have success now, because I believe you absolutely can. But the more you understand what drives you, the harder you can push yourself, the harder you can go, and the better you are at knowing when you need to back off, when you need to take a break, when you need to go a different direction, when things don't line up. If my why and my work don't match, I'm on the wrong path. There are a few other things that I want to get into in this part, but I don't want this to be too long. So I'm going to be real quick here. Understanding your purpose is big, but spend time figuring that out. Don't rush to figure out what your purpose is or commit to the wrong one. That does you no good. Secondly is you're going to be passionate about a lot of things. Passions are not what drive you. Passions are great. You should explore them. But be careful if you constantly are following your passion, because passions will change and they will shift. And if you're always following your passion, you're never going anywhere. But if your passion and your purpose and your drive all line up, that's the golden ticket. But you have to know what all of those are in order for that to work. So that's the main idea behind lesson number 4. It's kind of a confusing one because you're going to hear people say, follow your passion. You're going to hear people say, follow your heart. You're going to hear people say, find your why. What's your purpose? And those are just words at this point. At least they were for me. If you know what your purpose is at 20, 22, 24, 25, great. Awesome. More power to you. But it took me a while. And so if it's taking you a while, don't be discouraged by that. In the meantime, find what drives you. That's a great place to start. That's an easy place to understand why you're doing the things you're doing to get to where you want to be. But overall, guys, just keep pushing hard. Be passionate about the things you're pursuing, but don't chase passions. And I think that overall, if you do those things, by the time you get to the later part of your 20s, by the time you get into your 30s, and then if you get to, closer to the 40s like this guy, you're going to find you're having a lot of success. You're going to find a lot of things that make sense. And you're going to be able to commit yourself to doing the really hard things because you know what it is that drives you. Good luck, guys. Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.